Checkpoint, that'd be great. John has been kind enough. How many years have you been at
I've been here almost 11 years now.
11 years,
Yeah,
wow.
about 6 years as a trainer.
He started when he was age 10. In any event, he knows the ins, outs, and in-betweens. Periodically, I'll chime in. Gus is going to use my laptop because this is broken. But I will not be bashful. RIA, let me give it, even though I have no ownership in the company, I'm a big fan. I am on RIA regularly. It is one of the greatest resources a tax professional can have, and I was not paid to say that. So let me, with no further ado, let me turn over the podium to John.
Thanks, Professor. Of course, my name is John Zadie. You can just refer to me as John if you have any questions. We're going to be doing a checkpoint features and functionality training with a focus in the federal tax area, also for state and local research. I'm also going to show you a lot of coverage that we do have for the new Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. We have an extensive amount of coverage, which we just released actually the day before the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act went into effect. This is how heavily RIA or Checkpoint is invested in the information we provide. Our editors, our experts in the field, were actually observing everything on Capitol Hill while the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act was being prepared. And the day before it went into effect, we knew it was going to go into effect, and we immediately came to Checkpoint and published over, I think we started about 300 pages of analysis. The day after it was released, we have about 800 pages of analysis. So it just gives you the breakdown of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, and it will show you any editorial analysis that goes with it. And today's session really is just to show you how a tax professional would use RIA, or any a CPA, for example, or even any law firms, how they would utilize this information. And you'll see the best thing about Checkpoint is, regardless of how you start your research, you can start from primary source material, that being any code sections, any regs, and then you can link to editorial analysis. Other than that, if you like to begin your research with editorial analysis, you can always link back to primary source. In all my trainings I've done with various different clients, I always see a difference in the demographic of how they do their research. A lot of the more old school people who have done research from the print days usually like to start with a primary source. A lot of kids coming fresh from out of college start with editorial analysis, which is, I guess, it's the Google generation. But either way, Checkpoint is versatile in that sense, where you can start with primary source, link to analysis, or start from analysis and link to primary source. Most people usually start with analysis. You kind of throw out a question, a keyword, and you kind of fetch the information, and then from there, you kind of narrow down and find out, is this what I'm looking for? And then from there, you can back up your information with primary source. But besides that, is there anything else you'd like me to cover? Any cases? Would you like me to demonstrate cases as well? Yeah? Okay.
Go for it all.
I'll go for it all. All right, let me just take care of a few housekeeping items. The font, can everyone see clear enough? Yeah? Good. All right. So I'm just going to take care of a few housekeeping items just to show you the functionality of Checkpoint. The first thing I'd like to point out is the History tab. We keep a history of about 250 documents. The oldest just falls off. This is very helpful for clients whenever they have done research, but for some strange reason couldn't get back to the information they had once come across. They can always check their history. We always categorize everything by documents, by tools, etc. Folders. Folders are unique to each individual user on Checkpoint. Most clients like to create folders based on a project that they're working on. So if they're working for a specific company, say ABC company, and they want to file all their documents in this one folder, it's easy to categorize folders in Checkpoint. Any state and local research, we have a tool called the Create a Chart tool, which I'll demonstrate shortly. A lot of people like to save their folders, save their state and local charts in their folders, which I'll demonstrate. Checkpoint is good in the sense when it comes to folders where the information that you store in your folders is not restricted to your laptop. So basically, if I have any information stored on my folder, I could log on to any computer anywhere and get that same information. So the information is always stored on Checkpoint itself and not restricted to the computer in the office. We can always flag documents once we come across documents. It's like setting an internet favorite or like a sticky note when you're looking through your books. You can always flag documents and always get back to it whenever you need. Notes, you can always add notes to documents, which I'll demonstrate. You may have some notes that are pertinent to a specific client or a specific document. that you want to share with your peers or if you want to share with your clients. You have the ability to add notes to any document in Checkpoint and share those or not, which I'll show. Options, just general feature options, changing the font, password, etc. And the home screen, which is where we are, this home screen can really be customized to be the launching point for your research. We've added quick links right here. But lately, I have been demonstrating how to use Checkpoint not from the home screen. The first thing I like to do once I go into Checkpoint is really to go to your search screen. Once you hover your search screen, you can choose your practice area, but the first thing I like to do is just click on search. This is how I like Checkpoint to open up for all my clients. Reason being, this mirrors the most popular search engine we use right now, Google. Right? A lot of people, once they log into Checkpoint from the home screen, they get confused, they don't know where to click, they see all these links that we've given to them, and it may not be relevant to their practice. The first thing I encourage everyone to do, once you log into Checkpoint, just go straight to your search screen, and then from here, you'll have basically the same way you could look at Google. All right? And table of contents. Some people like to do research using the table of contents. This is just like pulling a book off the shelf. I'll just show you, for example. Once you go over to your table of contents, we've categorized it by practice area. So as you can see, you have the Federal Library, Pension and Benefits Library, Estate Planning Library, and so on. You can pull the book off the shelf this way. But I would say 95% of everything that can be done in Checkpoint can be done from this search screen. You can go to your federal library, you can go to your state and local library, any estate planning, any pension and benefits, all from the same screen right here. So this is the first thing I encourage once you log into Checkpoint. All right? Now, once you log into Checkpoint, there's two different ways you can do research on Checkpoint. There's the intuitive search, there's also the terms and connectors search. Intuitive search is more a Google-like feature. You can throw out any questions, any keywords, any acronyms, and it will recognize what you're looking for.
Let me just make sure everyone is everyone on this page, because this is critical, and if you're stuck now and you're not there,
Oh yeah?
is that a problem? That's a problem. Who's stuck?
He's logging in over here.
What's the problem, Peter?
I'm not sure if I'm in the right.
On the website?
Is everyone else logged in?
I'm not like that.
Why are you not logged in?
What is that?
What?
How do I log out?
But do you have a password?
No.
Were you here? I said everyone needs to get a password, so that's going to be a problem.
Okay.
All right. Because I don't have a password.
No, I understand. Yeah. How do I get a password?
If you do have time, we can always.
Over
can
the
always
course of
do
this
such.
past week, everyone's getting passwords. So unless John has an extra, do you have an extra password? Because
I do have an extra password.
The
I have to log
login they
in.
gave to us, right?
Yeah, it should be login here. Check if I have an extra login. I'd have
I'm
to
saying the
create one.
login we created, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure how.
I'm sorry.
He gave the password.
No, I-
Everyone during the course of this week, or virtually everyone, has gotten
I
passwords.
remember going through it and I set up the password, now I remember my login.
Well,
Login is, normally is email,
That's
first
right.
one.
Yeah.
It's email.
Anthony Perchase, he was supposed to give you.
I can create a quick ID for him if you want. It takes
And we
about
have
5
2
or 10 minutes.
people.
2 people?
Well, you're logged in through me,
Okay.
but that's a different issue. Today you can use mine.
All right, but when I'm home, I don't have my user.
But you're gonna send me an email and then we'll get it, right?
Yeah. Depending on the VPN connection, it could take about 10 minutes, so.
Right, so
Maybe if you want to pair up with someone or just follow along. Yeah, sure. But once we're done, I can make sure everyone has your password, all right?
Actually, see, I knew it wasn't my email. First name and last.
His first name, not
I
last
mean,
name.
first initial, password I had,
all right, so either you can log on or else you're gonna have to share with someone else.
Yeah, or pair up with someone.
I'm in.
Yeah, you good?
It's coming, yeah.
I can follow along.
It's coming.
All right, take your time. Let me know once you're
Do
in.
you have it? No.
Yeah. Not take good notes.
Yours is not logging in?
I've missed the first class.
Good.
I'm stuck.
But you didn't ask me for a password?
I didn't know until I sent the email today, so I requested one for the trial. So, yeah.
Peter, you're getting in?
I'm in.
Okay, you're in.
Good?
All right, any answer you're gonna share? All right, so everyone's logged in.
Should I restart the video?
No, it's fine. All right,
Good.
so,
All right.
now, and
Go
just for whatever it's worth, as John's saying this is my go-to page. So everyone, when you log on,
Search.
search
Just click on your search screen.
is.
That's the first thing I would advise, yeah, just go right to your search screen. Go on.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And this is what opens all doors, in my opinion.
What is search?
No, there's a search tab.
The search home,
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Got it? Yeah. So yeah, Checkpoint usually opens up to the home page. Even on our options tab, you can customize it to launch right on your search page. It's not a big deal. You can just click right on search once you log into Checkpoint. And as I said, the reason why I encourage this is because this mirrors our most popular search engine, Google. This is what we're become accustomed to, and I think it's just going to be embedded in our brains from now on. I don't like to draw too many parallels with Google because the difference with Checkpoint and Google is we provide expert editorial analysis from lawyers, from editors, from our professionals in the field, vetted information that you cannot get on Google. So that's why people subscribe and pay a pretty penny to get information on Checkpoint. Sometimes even when people are looking at federal forms, they might find it not hard, but they resort to Google first. And I've seen cases where people have used 2017 forms or 2016 forms in error as opposed to the most current forms. So the reason why you use Checkpoint is because you've paid for vetted analysis, all right? Even just to back up, even the IRS uses Checkpoint, so that's how good Checkpoint is. All right, so the first thing I do, as I said, I log into Checkpoint, I go straight to my search screen. From here, you can do about 95% of everything, whether you're doing research or whether you're using any tools for state and local. The way you can change your research, right now we're in the federal practice area. The next area I'm going to go over is the state and local area, all right? But first things first, go right to your search screen. You have two different options the way you can search. You have the intuitive search, and you also have terms and connectors. Intuitive search is if you have a general idea of what you're looking for. You can throw out any questions, any keywords, any acronyms, and it will retrieve the information that you're looking for, all right? I'm going to be doing a quick search in a moment for qualified business income, for QBI, which I'll show you. Terms and connectors, this follows the Boolean logic. This essentially is used a lot more by law firms. If we're searching, for example, say bonus depreciation. If I was to do a keyword search for bonus depreciation, I could get different variations of bonus and different variations of depreciation. But if I did want the exact phrase of bonus depreciation side by side, one common terms and connector we use are quotation marks. But we have other terms and connectors, say even for example, if I wanted bonus and depreciation within 6 words of each other. This follows the Boolean logic. Jay, do you want to speak more to the Boolean logic? Do you do research in this
I
way?
would like to just ask, I'm just curious as to preferences. Just by show of hands, what do you guys generally go to first? Intuitive search or terms and connectors? By hands. Intuitive search, how many people?
It's
Hands
usually-
up, guys.
That's the default, yeah, that's the default.
And what do you guys, the other people, terms and connectors? V, you're shaking your,
I just got on this, so I don't know
Okay.
what
all right.
to use.
I mean, I'm gonna share with you that generally when I do my research, call me old fashioned, people say if you're over 40, you use terms and connectors, under 40, intuitive search. So last I checked, I'm over 40. So terms and connectors where I want to try to be as exact as possible. And sometimes, depending on what I come up with search-wise, with terms and connectors, like he was saying, bonus depreciation. So I would put bonus depreciation in quotes and 179A so that it comes up with N meaning, I use the ampersand.
The ampersand.
And this way bonus depreciation has to come up exactly in that form. Where if you do an intuitive search, it could come up depreciation and bonus in
Exactly.
any format possible. But if you really think you know what you're doing with specificity,
Mhm.
sometimes it makes it's easier to pull the needle out of the haystack with terms and connectors. But
It is.
I'll play around with it, so it's
Yeah.
useful to potentially go either way.
Exactly. And just to demonstrate this, so for example, I'm going to do a search for bonus depreciation. And for now, I'm just going to choose all my sources. I'm going to explain what these sources are in just a moment. But once I hit my bonus depreciation search in terms and connectors, I can retrieve my results, which is going to carry me to the results page. And then from here, I'll show you exactly what we're talking about. Let me see, go to federal tax credit analysis. So if you look at, say for example, if I expand this, you can see different variations. You see bonus depreciation side by side, or you see depreciation by itself.
On mine, it says you have not selected any checkpoint sources to search.
So once you're on the search page, you can check that box by editorial materials. Right here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Oh,
sorry, I forgot to
okay.
point that out.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is how you'd select the sources, which I'm going to speak about. But let me just show you right now. Okay, so once I do a search for bonus depreciation, just selecting all my sources, I just want to show you how you can get different variations. So you just saw a while ago, you saw bonus and depreciation side by side, but you could also have depreciation standing alone, or you could have depreciable. You could have all different variations. Like Professor Jay was saying, if you do want the exact phrase, one common terms and connectors are quotation marks, and this will guarantee to get the exact phrase for bonus depreciation. Let's see, we have about 1,100 results here, which could be a bit much. So once I do the terms and connector, the quotation marks, it should narrow it down to something less. And about 862 results. See? So that's one common terms and connector we use, the quotation marks. Yeah? So like Professor was saying, he will do a search for bonus depreciation in conjunction with even code section 179. And the list of all those terms and connectors are right here on the thesaurus query tool. All right? So regardless of how you like to do your research, intuitive or terms and connectors, I just want to let you know that intuitive search has become much more intuitive, and it's mirroring what all your peers are doing for research. So it's becoming more specific than it used to be before. I remember when I used to use LexisNexis, I had to use terms and connectors. But now Checkpoint has become a little bit more refined, and intuitive search is much more intuitive than it was before. All right. Now, another thing, I'm not sure if anyone knew this, I'm not sure if Professor Sullivan knew this, you could also use terms and connectors while using intuitive search as well. So even though you're intuitive search, I could do bonus appreciation and use these quotation marks in here as well. All right? So just translate to both. My personal preference is I like to use intuitive search, and I like to use quotation marks to get my exact phrase. But if you wanted to do bonus appreciation as well as something else, check this option right here, the thesaurus query tool, and it's going to give you all different variations. So even if I wanted funding and deficiency within 7 words of each other, I could use this formula. Funding \7 deficiency. I could get funding and deficiency within 7 words of each other. All right? Even if I wanted funding and deficiency in the same sentence, I could do funding /s deficiency. All right? But rest assured, intuitive search will retrieve your information, keywords, acronyms, questions, and even terms and connectors. All right? Does anyone have any questions so far? Any speed bumps?
Quick question.
Sure.
Does this come with an API that we can access, or?
An API.
Yeah, so say for example, all these, not Googling, but searching for editorials and then researching. Is there a way to access that programmatically versus going through this search engine?
No, you would not, because Checkpoint houses all this information, and this is the reason why you purchase the information from here. So you wouldn't be able to get the analysis, which I'm going to show you, if you did a Google search outside of Checkpoint here.
Well, no, I'm saying, does the Checkpoint offer the API visually through the servers?
I think I'm understanding the question. API is an acronym for?
Something program interface.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Like automatic or something that,
Author program
It's
interface.
basically like automated, so,
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
example, I
automated.
use programming a lot in my line of work, I'm
Okay.
a financial analyst.
Sure.
So I get a lot of information from different, sites, say for example, even like WikiLeaks or
Or
something like
SEC,
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so they have, APIs where I can access all the information
I see.
automatically and then draw it into my
Draw it into your system. No, it
Yeah.
stands, Checkpoint stands independent on its own.
Okay,
So you wouldn't be able to pull it in any other way.
all right.
Yeah, so yeah, you have to have a Checkpoint
It was something
login.
wrong, because every time I do a search, I get the same 2017 tax reform, tax cuts, sales act.
Oh yeah, you may not be assigned to all the subscriptions. On your search screen, do you see the same thing there that you have on my screen? Yeah, let's go to your search screen.
Do I have to check off primary sources and editorial material?
Just editorial materials, but do you see these same sources right here?
Yeah.
You do?
Cyber area.
Alright, so you should have that information. So once you're doing a keyword search, just check off your editorial materials right here. And then you should run a keyword search from here. Yeah? Sure.
Just so you know, guys, I mean, the more you check off, the more search results you'll get. So
Sure.
if you only want an article from the Journal of Taxation, you can simply check off Journal, where it says news and current awareness. You can limit it just to that. Or if you want it very, very broad, you can check off news, current awareness, primary sources, and editorial materials. You'll pull up the whole.
Exactly, kind of carpet bomb search, where you
Right.
just get everything out there and you kind of refine
You
it.
know why? I had the source list, I should have been all documents, right?
Yep.
That's why I have all documents.
So yes, so essentially you can intuitive search or do terms and connectors. I always recommend using intuitive search, but because you can use terms and connectors in intuitive search. That's my personal preference. And then while I'm doing research, I like to do my research starting with editorial analysis. And then from there you can link to the primary source. Because once you're in editorial analysis, you will see links to the code section, you will see links to the regs, and any IRS publications really. All right? So my best practice is intuitive search. I usually check all my editorial materials and my news and current awareness. All right? I stay away from primary source because after I do a keyword search, I'm going to show you how to look through your primary source directly, which is in Find by Citation. All right? So, for example, let's go down here. So, let's talk about the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. So here we are. The editorial materials are off to the left, primary source to the right, as well as news. What I wanted to point out before I do a keyword search is the 2017 Tax Reform, Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, TCJA, the acronym. You can always expand this. You can get the reform news, special study, or even complete analysis. Now, the reason why I like to start using our search tab, like I said, I don't have to go to the table of contents to pull this book off the shelf. Once I hover over this source, you'll see a book icon. Once I click on this book icon, it's just going to pull the book off the shelf and put it in a separate tab. That way we have not lost our original point of research. All right? So whenever you hover over these sources, you'll see a book icon appear, as well as an eye icon. The eye icon is just going to give you information about what's included in that source. So this is an advanced citator. This is the latest editions of histories of federal tax cases and rulings, including includes evaluations of citing cases and rulings. And if I wanted to pull this book off the shelf, I could just do so as well. It's going to replace the tab. All right? So that's another reason why I like to start from this page, because you can pull the book off the shelf as you would in the table of contents.
How do you get the little book?
Once you hover over the source, you should see the book. Just hover over it. Yep. So once I pull the book off the shelf, what I wanted to point out is, here it is, the complete analysis of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. We released this one day before it actually went into effect, just so our clients could keep up ahead, be ahead of the game. All right? From here, you get the full analysis. You can always expand this. Anything related to income tax rates, inflation adjustments, AMT. But one of our clients' favorites actually are these client letters. So once they're processing returns for individuals or even corporations, they love to see client letters. This basically is doing their job for them.
Where'd you get that?
Once you go to analysis, here. Sorry, once again, you can follow along again. Once I go down to the complete analysis of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, expand this, pull the book off the shelf.
It's not that good. On
And then once you click, we can get to it after you're done, all right? Then you can expand analysis, and then here you can get full analysis on everything that was impacted by the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, all right?
I see the little booklet, there's nothing.
Oh yeah? All right, maybe it should be ID. All right, one of our favorite things that our clients love to use is our client letters. Here, for example, if they are doing something for their client where, say, for the corporate income tax rate, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act drops corporate rate income tax rate to 21% and modifies individual rate brackets. So if I was a company, say for example like a Moore Stevens or one of our large CPA firms, they could just pull this client letter off the shelf and customize it for their client. Your client, trying to inform you, gives them all the rates. Retouch them. All right. The great thing about Checkpoint is I can export this file. I can export it as a Word file or a PDF. So once you export it as Word, you can easily customize it based on your client. I just wanted to point this one out because this is one of our favorites from the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. All right. Now, like I said, we're just going to be doing some research, a general keyword search right now, using all our editorial materials and our news and current awareness. So right now, once you're logged in, just check off your editorial materials off the top left, and then news and current awareness off to the right. The reason why I always check news and current awareness is that way you can get the latest information on anything in the field that you're searching for. All right. Now again, you can get more specific if you want. Sorry, my mouse. Aside from just choosing all your editorial materials, if you just wanted to look through the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act and you had a keyword, you could check just that section, all right? Or if you just wanted to look through cases, you could just check just that section and do your keyword search. It will look only through these cases. Right now, once I check editorial materials, it's going to look through all of these sources for me, all right? Now again, once you hover over these sources, if you have any doubts or any questions about what's included, just click on the eye icon. It's going to tell you what's included in that source. Federal Tax Coordinator Analysis. This is essentially our flagship product. This is where most people get their answers from in Checkpoint. We are creatures of habit. We always tend to go to the Federal Tax Coordinator Analysis for our answer, and then from there to primary source. But I've been trying to break clients out of this one source itself because we have much more information available on Checkpoint. All right. So again, this is the Federal Tax Coordinator Analysis. This is our flagship product, and it gives just in-depth analysis of federal income, estate, gift, excise, and U.S.-based foreign taxes, and it's organized by subject. Now, if you look through the United States Tax Reporter, it's more organized by the code. All right. Okay, so just go on.
If I could just comment when I have my practitioner hat on, is that the federal tax coordinator guys, maybe John, you could tell us, I don't know with specificity, how many volumes, if the printed version is about 30, 40 volumes?
Yes, about close to 50 now actually.
Okay, so picture, if you will, guys, a whole wall of different volumes of tax commentary that if you have issues, this is really in-depth, well thought out, and really easy to use. The Federal Tax Coordinator is truly one of the best tools we as practitioners have. So just in case it's getting lost upon you, that you really, if you have a tax issue, and when you do a search, there's often what we do call, John, stars that appear
Yes.
to the left, and depending on how many stars is the anticipated relevancy of the material.
Mm-hmm.
And you can find something in the Federal Tax Coordinator with lots of stars, and that signifies that it's probably very relevant to your search.
Mm-hmm.
You have struck gold from a practitioner's point of view.
Exactly. So
When John does a search, if he finds something in Federal Tax Coordinator and it has multiple stars next to it, it's
pointing you to the most relevant source that's going to have the answer which you're looking for. All right? And again, you can pull the book off the shelf like I just showed. It's going to show you all the chapters that's included. If you knew specifically you wanted to look through partnerships or anything for AMT, you could just go right to that chapter if you wanted. If not, once I do my keyword search, it's going to look through the whole federal tax coordinator analysis for me. All right? What else can I point out? Certain client letters, again, which I just showed you for the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. What else do we have? The Federal Tax Handbook. Must keep falling off.
Is there a better browser to use?
Yeah, Chrome. Are you using Chrome?
No, Internet Explorer.
Yeah, you should use Chrome. Yeah, yeah, that's it. There it is. Chrome is a more preferred preference.
Could you help to link the video also if we have to see anything?
That's fine.
It will link with the video also?
Yes.
Okay.
So, again, all your sources, if you need to explore what's in these sources, just hover over them, pull the information off the icon, form line finder, these are just practice aids with line-by-line summaries, and any tables and rates, tax, which I can show you, pull it right off the shelf, individual tax tables. Going to pull tables for you if you want. This is more specifically for CPAs. All right? And treatises. WGNL treatises. This is even further in-depth analysis on the subject at hand. Professor, you can speak more on the treatises if you
Well, I was just going to say that if I'm doing research, in terms of something that I'm not knowledgeable about, the Federal Tax Coordinator is a wonderful feature. Sometimes if you can find something in one of the treatises, Bicker and Eustace is one of the best treatises, for example, in the area of corporate tax. And you can find relevancy in Bicker and Eustace on a corporate tax issue. Again, you struck gold. Or when John shows you, we have access to all the entirety of the Journal of Taxation. And if you can find a particular article on something that you're working on, boy, someone's done a lot of analysis on your behalf. So that too is for me personally, if I can find in the Federal Tax Coordinator, treatise, or find a particular article, all of a sudden I can really begin to frame the issue before I get into the primary sources and do my own personal investigation. So those are key things for me personally when I'm doing tax research. And here, vis-a-vis RIA, it's truly all at your fingertips. You guys are all young enough, you don't realize that in yesteryear, it might take hours to try to sift through indexes and here everything's hyperlinked.
Yeah.
So if you find something that's relevant, just double click it, you'll get right to what you want. So that too is an incredible feature. And you don't get that, again, I'm going to sound like a little sales pitch, you don't generally get that in Google. You're going to get it only in RIA, so it's all there. Rutgers does have this free, as long as you're part of the tax program, you have this free access that otherwise would cost thousands of dollars.
Exactly.
So you might as well take advantage of it.
Exactly. And even just to back up how traditional research was done, all this information on Checkpoint was translated from print onto the web. So like when you go into a lawyer's office, you see all those big leather-bound books. Picture doing research back then. If you wanted to find an issue, you'd have to take one of those books, and rest it down here. You may come across the issue, then you have to pull another book. And you have, before you know it, there's a whole table filled with books, trying to go line by line to get your answers. So what this has done is revolutionized and just saved a lot of time and money and a lot of probably divorces too. So people were able to get home early enough for dinner just because of this. So, all right, and then another thing which I don't think you guys subscribe to is, like I said, everything on Checkpoint was translated from print and put onto the web. There's a new product we came out with about 3 years ago called the Checkpoint Catalyst, which is the first of its kind written specifically for the web. So it wasn't translated from print to the web, it was written and designed for the web itself, with all interactive tools, embedded tools, and all the information. But that's separate and aside. All right, so without further ado, we are going to do, oh, here it is, keep it here. We are going to do an intuitive search, and we've selected all our editorial materials. Like Professor said, you can isolate the sources if you want. You could have chosen your federal tax coordinator analysis. I always suggest checking off news and current awareness. This way you're going to get all news and information relevant to the subject that you're searching. All right? And then from there, I can choose my keywords. I can type a question. I can type an acronym. I can type a question if you need. But for today, I'm going to show you QBI, which is Qualified Business Income. And one new enhancement on Checkpoint is the answer path. These are some of the latest developments in Checkpoint, where if you are doing research for a subject that you're completely new to, we've included orientation documents, just to let you know what QBI means. All right? We'll tell you what QBI means, where it derived from, and the traditional way. How should I frame this? All right. Before I show you what answer path is, the traditional way we do research on Checkpoint is we type our keyword, we select our sources, type our keyword, and then we'd hit search, and then it would carry us to the results page. And I'll slow down so you guys can get to the results page. All right? From here, you'd see the green stars. The green stars are essentially going to point you to the source that has the most relevant information related to the topic you're researching. So you see the green stars. Even once I scroll down, here it is, a green star right beside the Federal Tax Coordinator analysis. I can expand this, and it's going to give me even further rank my source. This is the most relevant document right here for QBI. All right? So like you can see, this is our results page. Remember, I did QBI, I selected all my sources, and all the results are coming here from the sources which I selected. The new way which we're encouraging research on Checkpoint is through the answer path. Once I select QBI, here's the answer path that populates. As I said, it gets you oriented with the subject at hand. But once I open one of these orientation documents, it's going to pool all of those sources, which I just showed you on the following page, onto this one single page here. All right? So here it is. The code section 199A related to QBI. It's going to give you a definition of QBI. It's going to show you deductions and the limitations. And here it is. It's going to link directly to the Federal Tax Coordinator analysis for QBI, the most relevant document. Even the United States Tax Reporter for QBI. Any client letters that relate to QBI. So rather than jumping to the page, which I just showed you the traditional way, it's all on one screen right here. All right? Even if you had any PBC guides, you'd see links right to the PBC guides right here. Now keep in mind, this is a new way which we're encouraging research. The answer path is still being developed. So you may or may not find all your answers right here. So stick to the traditional way if you want, but for now, you can explore the answer path, all right? Once you go back to your search screen, once you scroll down, it should be at the bottom right here. Okay?
Thank you.
All right. So aside from using answer path, we're just going to do our research in a traditional way. Selected our sources, editorial materials. We selected our news and current awareness. We typed in QBI. We could have typed in bonus depreciation. We can type in what is QBI. And once I hit search, like I showed you, it's going to come to my results screen. Green stars are going to point you to the source that has the most relevant information. And even if you expand these, we further rank them with these gold stars. Okay? QBI, we got about 159 results right here. Aside from using terms and connectors for QBI, aside from using terms and connectors to narrow down your search, what do we have, 159 results? We have what we call a search within a search. So within these sources, I can even type a further keyword to narrow my results down, maybe even a year. Let's try it to 2017. I can search within these results here. About 116 results, all right? So we narrowed it down just a little bit more, all right? So keep that in mind. You can always do a search within your search, all right? Does anyone have any questions, or is everyone following along? Straightforward enough, right? All right. Now, like I said, the green stars are going to point you to the source that has the most relevant information. You can always expand these. See what's included before you actually go into the document. All right? Now, the default for checkpoint is source list. Like I said, once we're in the search screen, we got to a results page, it's going to go to source list. Where essentially creatures of habit, we're probably always going to go to the federal tax coordinator analysis because that has our has the most relevant information usually. One other way I've been recommending is using the All Documents tab. This way, it's not biased by source. So once I do QBI, it's just going to pull in all my documents and it's going to rank it by the relevance. All right? The most relevant documents are always going to come to the top. So source list is the default, but all documents is another great way you can know you're not missing anything. All right, so here it is. Cost income for QBI, and this is in the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. More QBI, this is from the Federal Tax Coordinator Analysis, even from Tax Reform News. You see, it's just not narrowing it down to one specific source. It's giving you the most relevant documents from all our sources. All right, so keep that in mind. Regardless, if you like to use source lists, you can isolate your sources that way. Feel free to do so, but don't neglect using all documents as well. It's going to bring in the most relevant documents to the top. And it's not going to be biased by source. All right? Another thing about all documents is, if you're looking through news articles, you can always sort by the table of contents. This way, it's going to give you the latest news item first. See, the latest document from January 7th, 2019, from December 12th, and we actually bring these sources in chronologically. All right? So that's especially helpful if you're looking through news articles. All right?
John, can I?
Sure.
I'm confused because I guess I always default to source list, so
Yes.
I'm not sure what the difference is between source list versus all documents, because how is source list categorized? Why is it not all documents by what? Isn't
So
source list encompass all documents or not?
Source list does encompass all documents, but the difference between source list is it isolates each of the individual sources. So like you could see, I could just look through all the articles for the 2017 tax reform right here.
So it's organized by that.
It's categorized, it's more isolated once you look through all documents, which is fine.
Okay.
Right? So like I say, you could just go down to the right to the Federal Tax Coordinator Analysis. You do get your green stars. The green star is going to point you to the source, and then the gold stars are really just going to point you to the most relevant document.
Okay.
So the green star is for the source, and then the gold star is for the document itself, the most relevant document. This is something new I've been kind of encouraging because, like I said, we don't want to get pigeonholed in the same way we do research every day. We should always have an open mind when we're doing research. So that's why I recommend, sometime going through all documents. But source list, the difference is just that it isolates the source, and you can go into that source itself. All documents is just ranking all the sources by the documents itself. All right? So you don't see any green stars, you just see the gold stars. All right? This is something new, and like I said, going straight to the search screen is just like how we use our search engine, Google. Once we pull our results, Google tends to mirror this. The most relevant documents come to the top, aside from the ads that are promoted, right? So this is just one way it mirrors our most popular search engine, okay? And sort by relevance, but if you're looking through news articles, you can always sort by table of contents. That way it gives you chronologically, all right? So I'm just going to go back to source list. Here we did our search for QBI, and we can go to our sources. This is the 2017 tax reform, green star here, but that's just related to the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act alone. I want full analysis, so I would usually go to the Federal Tax Coordinator Analysis. So I search for QBI, keywords are highlighted, and then from here I can actually jump into the document itself. All right? Now once you're in the document itself, the first thing I do once you're in the document is expand the Contents tab. Off to the right. This way you have a bird's eye view of where you're looking through the Federal Tax Coordinator Analysis. I don't have to keep going back and forth with my tabs here on the Explorer. Cool. So I can move around the Federal Tax Coordinator Analysis right over here. All right? You're always going to see your keywords highlighted. And jump to the best section. the next best section, which is going to be in green. I can just jump to the next keyword, which is going to be QBI. Alright? But like I said, once you do your search and you come to the document, expand your contents tab, and then from here you have a bird's eye view of where you are. Alright? Any questions so far? Or Jay, is there anything you want to add? No, probably threw a
When he
curveball.
says the table of contents, that's just, if you picture this 50-volume series, sometimes it's useful to see what's in front of it, what's behind it, so that you know, again, contextually,
Exactly.
where this relevant information, because you may, even though the computer thinks this is relevant, you may know better, and by looking at the table of contents, it really gives you a better handle, a larger picture of the whole.
Exactly. You can jump forward, you can jump back in this way. Alright. Alright, so aside from this, once you've retrieved your information, if this is if this is your answer, this is where it would be. Other document icons, I could always print this document if I needed to. I can always export this document as a PDF or a Word file, like I mentioned before. You can always email this document. Now keep in mind, whenever you email a document from Checkpoint, it does come from Checkpoint itself and not from your Rutgers email address. If you do want it to come from your Rutgers email address and get all the credit, you can email it to yourself, and then from there you can pass it on. Alright? So, another way we can do this, we can actually save this document to a folder. If this is a folder for QBI, I would just hit Save As. The default folder is my folder. If I wanted to create my own personal folder, I would just hit Change Folder, Create Folder, you could name it QBI. So I hit Create, okay. And now once I save this document, it's going to save into my folder called QBI. Alright? Again, this could be helpful for any projects that you're working on. If you're given an assignment and you're working on that specific assignment, you could always name the folder itself. Alright? Other options are, I could do the select the text option. Sometimes clients want to share this information with their peers, or even, researchers want to share this information with their clients or with their peers, but they don't want to share the whole document since it's so extensive. We have the option just to choose a certain part of the document. You left click and highlight, you can copy just this part of the text, email it, print it, highlight it, and add a note. And once I hit save, this highlight and this note is always going to stay with this document until you make the change. Alright? So it's just like you had your own book and you're making notes or making highlights. It's the same way the notes are always going to stay within the document until you go back in and make the change. A great option that we've added is this A option right here, the document options. So if I have all these notes in my book, personal information that's just for me and I didn't want to share it with my peers or my clients, we have this A option right here. Once you're here, if I'm printing this document, I have the option to use the settings below to either show my notes and my highlights or not. But it's always going to stay with your document, so you can share it with or without your notes. Same thing for exporting this. A lot of people may want to export the document and just have it as is, not with their personal notes or their highlights. They can always use this option below for exporting. Same thing for emailing. All right? And again, flag a document if you need. All these icons are pretty self-explanatory. All right? So that's keyword searching in Checkpoint in a nutshell. All right? Anyone have any questions about keyword searching? Yeah? Log into Checkpoint, go right to your search screen, choose your sources, or choose all your editorial materials. I always encourage doing news and current awareness. And then I stay away from primary source when I'm doing my keyword search, because the next thing I'm going to show you is how to look directly through primary sources. You can always include your primary sources if you need, but if you want to isolate the primary source, we're going to go to find by citation. All right, so we did our keyword search for QBI. We used intuitive search. You can use terms and connectors. Always choose your sources, and choose your news. Now for the times you want to look up a specific primary source document, this is the option right here. Go to find by citation. Once you go to find by citation, you can type in any code section that you need, any regs, any preambles, or even any preambles to proposed regulations. I can look through any cases. I can look through any IRS rulings, any IRS publications. Again, I can look through any cases that's been cited. But for the most part, let's just stick to codes and regs. All right? Again, you go to your search screen. Either you do a keyword search in the federal tax practice area, or you can go to find by citation to find your primary source. So I could throw out a code section. Is there any code section you want me to throw out, or just do a gentleman? Is anybody working on any code sections right now? Working?
1368.
1368? All right. So we can do code section 1368.
S corps.
S corps. Oh, you guys know. And here it is. It takes you right into distributions, and here it is, code section 1368. All right? Remember, once you open your document, expand your contents tab. Okay? Straightforward enough? Search screen, keyword search if you need from your sources. Go to find by citation, find your codes, your regs, your cases. But even explore this option. We have a more tab. We can even look through any executive orders. The list goes on and on.
Can you just go back to 1368 for 1
Sure.
second, just in case this got lost?
Sure. I was going to show you exactly some of the features in there too.
Oh, okay, I mean,
Yes, I'm going to speak about this definitely. Yeah, I'm getting ahead of myself.
No, it just, I mean, to me personally, so if you guys know a particular code section and 1368 is, you think is right on point for whatever reason, another tremendous tool is right here, Federal Tax Coordinator or Treatise. Like I said, those are two key things for me in terms of research. So the ability to go, once I know the particular code section, to go right into the Federal Tax Coordinator, or like if you double click FTC, all these things come up, and then by relevancy, it's a great way to just immerse yourself into the Federal Tax Coordinator. And then at the treatise, there's a particular treatise dealing with 1368. You just click that for 1 sec. That's okay. Look, we have Eustace, taxation of S corporations. All these sections deal specifically with Code Section 1368A. You know, that's just manna from heaven, and you can bask it. So all that's very easy for practitioners like yourself, and can just say, and no offense to the client letters, sometimes when I just want a general overview of something, I become my own client. I want to read that client letter because I'm going to educate myself very
breaks
quickly.
it down for you, yeah.
Yeah, in layman's terms. So, you know, some of this stuff is pretty obtuse. So I'm going to read that client letter because then all of a sudden I get from, you know, really high up what the thrust of an issue is. So all these things are just, in RIA, as a practitioner, there is nothing easier. It's just like Google, but even in my thoughts are even easier than Google, because you just put in the search intuitive or connector, you pull up the stuff, you start double clicking, and it's impossible to get lost, really.
Exactly. And that's what I forgot to demonstrate. Once I did the keyword search, once I was in that document, you would see links to the code sections, hyperlinks in the code section. So that's what I meant. If you start your research and analysis, there are keywords or hyperlinks in that document that will bring you to the code section. This case, we started with the primary source, then now this is linking to analysis. So aside from analysis to primary source, we're now starting from primary source and now getting analysis. And these are what we call top-line links, and these are what we call sideline links. This across the top here is going to give you an explanation for the whole code section 1368. Once I click on it, you can see it expands over here off to the right. Any annotations related to code section 1368, federal tax coordinator analysis for the whole code section 1368. I even have the option to filter it down even further with keywords, and it will narrow this down right here. Any related regs to this code section, any committee reports, I can even get a history of the code section. So once I open this, for example, if you need to know the history of the code section 1368, it's going to open up in a separate tab. Here's a whole history of the code section starting from 1982. All right? So this is especially helpful. Top line links, new law analysis, WGNL treatises related to the whole code section 1368. All right? Now, these are called top line links, and it gives analysis for the whole code section. The deeper you go down into the code section is what we have called sideline links. Now, this is just going to give federal tax coordinator analysis or WGNL treatises analysis related to just this subsection of the code, not the whole 1368. This is just going to give analysis for subsection 1368C3. All right, and we have these compasses just so you have not lost your place in the code section. Does that make sense?
Is there analysis for the whole code, or?
That's the top line links. So the top line link right here gives analysis for the whole 1368.
But then the ones in between is just for that
For
subsection?
the subsection, exactly, exactly. All right? Same document icons if you want to print or export this or email this, it's all right here. All right? So that's how you do keyword searching or primary source searching in Checkpoint. So once you've been given an assignment, choose your way you want to look at it. Start with your editorial analysis, link to primary source, or vice versa.
Can we just do a quick, very quick exercise,
Sure.
John? I have something in mind.
Sure.
So, and I think everyone can benefit, and I'd be curious, can everyone just take 1 minute, think to yourself, are pools deductible as medical expenses? Can you guys come up with a search term, put it in, and then let me see what you find, and then we'll go around the room, and you guys, I just want to see if you can pick out 1 or 2 things that you think are relevant. With John's help, let's, can a client wants to put in a pool and take it as a medical expense? Can it be deducted as a medical expense? And then let's just see, we'll go around the room, just point out 2 things that you pulled up that you think are relevant. All right, so do your search and see what you come up with.
Now remember, you can type a question. We can even do the exact phrase for medical expenses.
See what people, come up with your own search.
Yep.
You're being too nice to them, John. Take 1 more minute. Okay, so why don't we do this? Everyone pull up some things of relevancy. Viva, you want, what do you pull up, you guys?
We did swimming pool in quotes, and then plus, and then medical expense in quotes.
Okay, and what did you pull up that you think are, two things that you think are relevant?
This is K-2186.
K-2-K-K-2186. And what is it entitled?
One is the cost of installing a swimming pool deductible medical expense.
Alright, so that sounds very relevant, federal tax coordinator. If you go through that section in the federal tax coordinator, it will hopefully answer the question, it will give citation to cases, maybe, I'm sure treasury regulations, the whole, you know, that sounds directly on point. Yeah, and Peter, you come across anything?
Yeah.
Same thing, different thing?
This says K-2187, yes?
What was your, is the same K?
That's the one preceding it, but that's referenced
Yeah.
in this article.
Okay,
Good.
I just got out of it when it's suitable and when it's not.
alright. But back to the federal tax coordinator. Anyone else come up with anything else? Did anyone come up with, say, a news article or treatise on this, aside from the federal tax coordinator? Everyone's on the federal tax coordinator?
Is it a news article?
Yeah, I'm just curious, can anyone pull,
Yeah.
anyone pull up a news article, or could you? I mean, you
Code
should.
Section 213, medical expense deductions, capital expenditures,
Where's the article?
Oh, it's actually a code section. You pull up a code section.
You put up the code section
Primary
itself.
source,
Is
yeah.
that the news article that you referred to?
Well, it's under news and current awareness.
You know,
I don't see it. Can you double click that and let's see?
This one?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see it as an article.
So that's not our article.
Yeah, that's not an article.
no. And if you wanted to isolate just an article, you could just choose your news and current awareness. But
I think I found one.
What?
a news article?
Yeah.
What is
Private
letter room?
Okay, you found a private letter ruling. By the way, in yesteryear, private letter rulings were, you could never go through private letter rulings. Now, because of RIA, you can get into private letter rulings and cite to private letter rulings that are directly on point. And V, you had a article on this entitled?
I think it's a magazine or.
Yeah, what's the name?
It's called Practical Tax Strategies.
Right, which is one of my favorite because it makes it understandable. And what's the title of the article, V?
Use tax planning to soothe the sting of senior citizen medical expenses,
Okay,
back in 2007.
right.
Oh, good.
Was
Private
this-
references, pool, deductible,
Yeah,
expenses.
yeah.
And
Yeah, construction of pool.
This
Yeah.
is a case.
Yeah.
This is another case? Okay.
Yes. I mean, you can pull up cases too, because if you had it as primary sources, you would could pull up, where's cases under here? US tax treatise, yeah, federal tax cases. You're gonna pull up any cases where the person actually took medical expense deductions.
Yeah.
Put it in the pool.
Exactly.
Right.
I've
So-
seen a lot of questions like this. Our club views deductible as a business expense. I've seen people try to do that. And even clients of mine have clients who ask them this. Are landscape expenses deductible as business? If they're hiring a gardener, try to use it as a business deductible. So this is a very relevant topic. Deductions, of course, especially this time of year.
Every time of year.
Yeah, every time of year, true.
All right, I'm sorry, John, but I
That's
just
it.
wanted everyone to try that exercise. So
That's good.
You
No,
keep
I
going.
think you guys hit it spot on. You guys got good answers. So that's how we do federal tax research in Checkpoint. Like I said, use a keyword search, type questions, acronyms, terms and connectors. Look through your citations if you want to look through codes and regs or through any cases. What I wanted to do is look through one of these cases. Hang on 1 second. Yeah. Okay. even for cases, if you're looking up anything for cases, primary source, just go to find by citation. You can look through any of your cases right here, but we also have the more template. You can look through the American Federal Tax Reports, current year. Even if you wanted to look up a specific judge name or a specific case name, you have all these templates right here. So even if I wanted to retrieve a case by name or tax years, I could use those options up there. I could even type in the judge's name. But you get the example here. Okay. All right, so aside from federal tax research, people also use Checkpoint for state and local tax research. All right? How you do that, you go to your search screen. We are in the federal tax practice area. If you wanted to change gears and move over to state and local, choose your drop down and move over to state and local. And then from here, we can look through all our state and local tax reporters for each and every state. So if I wanted to choose, say, just a handful of states, maybe New Jersey, New York, North Carolina, California, I can look through these the state and local tax reporters. So I hit next. Specific tax types. If I wanted to find out the sales and use tax for each of those states, the corporate income tax in each of those states, I can choose any of these tax types. Once I hit next, I can get explanations, which I always check, and even rates. And then from here, I can run my search. There you go. So we're looking at corporate income tax rates for California, New Jersey, or New York, or any explanations. So open this. Alright. Not sure if you're going to be doing much state and local research, but this is just one way practitioners use state and local research here. You can always compare this rate to another state if I need. Right now, this is the corporate income tax rate for California. I can compare this to another state if I need. Arizona. It's going to open up in a separate tab. Here it is. All right. Yeah, I think we've covered a lot today. I don't want to exhaust any. I know your brains are full, pretty much. So yeah. I think that's a good place to really close it off there. So like I said, once you're doing research in Checkpoint, the first thing I would do is go straight to your search screen. Always do your keyword search, type in your acronyms or your keywords. Choose intuitive search or terms and connectors. I like to use intuitive search because you can use terms and connectors in there. Choose your sources. You can carpet bomb, you can choose all your editorial materials, all your primary source, and all your news and current awareness, and it will retrieve the information on the next page, all right? Other ways to refine your research, quotation marks will give the exact phrase. The next page, you can do a search within your search to refine your results, to narrow it down. And again, if you want to look up any specific primary source material or any cases, you can go to Find by Citation directly to look up code sections or any cases. And I think that's a good place to stop today. Does anyone have any questions? No?
Can I just make an observation? The most important thing for you guys to do is to be proactive. And what I mean by that is, we're going to get this research. I'm going to give you in about 2 or 3 classes this research project. And if you don't get back onto RIA for another week or 2 weeks,
You'll lose it.
you're going to lose it. So my message to you is, over the next few days, every day, log into RIA and play with it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have questions, come to me, because I think I'm not going to say I'm as good as John, but I can get around. And if need be, I can always get in touch with John if I can't answer your question. So I'll try to protect him. But my message to you is, if you're getting stuck, reach out to me and say, hey, I thought I knew what I was doing, but I don't. But if you spend 15 minutes each day, just getting lost here,
Yeah.
you won't get that lost, and you'll really find out that it's really easy, and it's one of the best tools you guys could really have at your fingertips. Just to give some of the people here are small practitioners. How much does it cost for basic access to RIA on an annual basis, John?
On an annual basis, I have what you call the academic version, which is about, I would say the federal tax coordinated library for one user starts at about 5 to 7,000, one user.
Okay.
And then corporations are having us almost to 30, 50 users, 100 users, so, yeah.
Okay, so it just gives you an idea that if you're a practitioner, small practitioner, you guys have to make your own evaluation,
You
but,
could be spending up to $15,000 a year just for the federal tax coordinator analysis.
right.
alone.
Hold on, I thought you said it was 5,000.
Well, if you have 5 users, if you're a small
Oh,
practice.
oh, okay,
yeah, if you're a small
if you're a
practice.
solo shop, it's 5,000. but
Yeah,
if
about
you
5, yeah.
have- Okay, but it gives you an idea of
And
what
it's
these.
actually pretty smart, because I was trying to, I downloaded Google, but I left it on the other one. So when I was on Google, on Chrome, and I tried to do it, it says I can't do it because you're already logged in somewhere else. But
Yes.
no, you can't do it at the same time, simultaneously.
The duplicate, exactly, so
I
we
had to
can,
get out of it, so I could get to the other one.
yeah, exactly.
All right, well, let's do this, guys. John, he should get home, and we truly appreciate him coming tonight. So
Thanks for
thank you
having
very
me,
much,
everyone.
John, for coming tonight. And I'll pick up as soon as John, if you want to remove your stuff, and
Sure.
I have material to start
Okay.
covering. So we'll. Why don't we take, guys? If you need 3 minutes, and then we'll take a real break at 7 o'clock. I have some food coming for us. So if you want to take a 3-minute break now, let John collect his wares, and then if anyone needs to stop in the restroom, we'll turn the lights on.